There's an indefinite ceasefire between the US and Iran. We have blockades upon blockades upon blockades. There's Iranians climbing onto oil tankers in a feat of propaganda unseen on Twitter in almost a decade. What does this all mean? Are we going to see strikes happen again in Iran? Is there going to be peace in the Middle East? Well, lucky for you, I'm going to explain all of that in this next video. This is a video of me on NTD as a contributor to that news organization. And I get into all of this. And you're going to want to wait till the end because I unpack what is actually happening and who is leading Iran in this current moment. You don't want to miss out on that.
And to talk to us about the latest developments on the Iran war, joining us now is Kervin O'Quinn, former lead intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance coordinator for the U.S. Army. Kervin, good afternoon to you. So President Trump has ordered the U.S. military to literally shoot and kill Iranian small boats, those that are choking the Strait of Hormuz. What is your initial reaction to this point?
Well, first of all, it's good to be on. Thanks for having me again. I know there's a lot of shock and awe about what the president had posted. And as I always say, let's try not to post these kind of things on social media. Let's discuss these out in a public forum in the open with journalists able to ask questions. Because if journalists like yourself were able to ask the question of why would the military fire upon these boats, the answer would be it's because they're laying mines, and mines indiscriminately attack whatever is passing by. This is a problem. This is causing a lot of the traffic to turn around in the Strait of Hormuz. That's hurting everyone globally. That's getting oil prices up, that the gas prices are up. This is why that is happening. And so I think the president made a correct decision for this one, that anyone that is going to be laying mines that will indiscriminately attack anything that's passing by, they need to be dealt with, and they will be dealt with.
Okay, so overall, the situation in the Strait of Hormuz, with the blockade and everything, how much pressure do you think the naval blockade is having on Iran to pressure them to come to a deal?
Well, I think you heard it earlier that it's $500 million a day Iran is losing every single day this blockade lasts. Like, Iran has very few days left where they can be sustainable and actually have a country that survives. I think that some within the Iranian leadership understand that, but you have hardliners in the IRGC that do not care. They do not care about their people. They only care about retaining power, and they don't care if they're retaining power to a country that doesn't even exist anymore.
Okay, so if you're saying Iran doesn't have a lot of time left, what is your feeling on the chances that Iran will come back with a unified proposal? This is what President Trump wants, a unified proposal, because it seems like President Trump is extending the ceasefire indefinitely, at least for now.
Yeah, that's exactly what I've been calling it, an indefinite ceasefire, and it is to get whoever is in charge in Iran. I think that's what the president wants to know: who actually is making the decisions here in Iran, and he wants those individuals back in Islamabad, in Pakistan, coming to a deal with the U.S. negotiators that are there, and that's going to happen. Look, this is not going to last forever, and I honestly don't see increased attacks happening. I just don't think that even the hardliners in the IRGC, I don't think that's what they want. I think someone is going to come to the table. There will be good faith discussions. If that's going to happen this weekend, that's unlikely. But I think by next week, we're going to get a much clearer picture that this is all going to be over with.
Okay, so let me ask you this. You were saying earlier that maybe Iran can't sustain themselves in this conflict for too long. So people I've talked to yesterday, this week, they say Iran has this mentality, and this is their opinion, that they have this mentality that they would rather die than surrender to the United States, which essentially, I guess, means agreeing to a deal that the U.S. has proposed. So if that is the case, they would rather die. Then do you think this war could actually be extended because of this mentality?
Yeah, that is one of the courses of action that Iran can take, and we go back to the hardliners in the IRGC. Some of them may feel that way. I just don't see it. I don't think that Iran. I don't think Iran has shown that. Like, there's been tons of posts on various social media websites with the Iranian regime talking about sinking U.S. carriers. They've captured U.S. service members, and they're trying to push this propaganda that they have won this war, so that their people don't rise up against them. And I think they've made a mistake here with every single one of those posts being just purely propaganda. And what they're doing, what we have seen them do, is say one thing and do something completely different, where they say, we are not going to negotiate anymore. We are not going to agree to a ceasefire. And then they agree to a ceasefire. We're not going to negotiate anymore. And then they negotiate. I think that's what we're going to see. I really believe that this is what we're going to see over the weekend, is more back and forth. And I would caution everyone to not get in the heat of the moment and what is being said in that exact second. Give it some time. Cooler heads should prevail, and I believe cooler heads will prevail in this one.
And yesterday, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt reiterated something you said just now, that Iran will say something in public, and then in private, in negotiations with the U.S. behind closed doors, it'll say something different. So that's something I wanted to mention. So I want to ask you this: if the U.S., let's say, wanted to pull out right now, this second, what would you say are the wins and the failures at this moment in time?
Well, I think one of the wins at this point in time, and the wins are very few if the U.S. Pulls out, right now, out of all negotiations, says we're done, pulls everything out, especially if they would decide to pull some of the troops out and the carriers out of the Middle East there. I would say one of the few wins that they did get is they did take down some of the regime. They created chaos in Iran. They made an attempt for regime change. The regime did change. It probably became worse with the IRGC taking over, but that's one win they can look at. The U.S. showed immense power in the region. They projected power in the region. They got Middle Eastern powers that were on the fence about being anti-Iran to get closer to Israel and to be more aggressive towards Iran. They got Pakistan to come in, a nuclear power, to put pressure on Iran. So those are some big wins there. Now the losses would be that they just created chaos in the region. The U.S. There's a blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. We did not have a blockade before. Oil is, teetering on $100 a barrel. That was far less than that just a few months ago. So there is this balance of the wins and losses. I don't think right now is the time to cut and run with it, but it is now to put pressure on the Iranian regime to agree to no nuclear weapons, to agree to stop enriching uranium, and to also agree to force their proxies, Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, to lay down arms and stop attacking Israel.
And maybe an argument can be made that Iran's nuclear program has been delayed. Many people say by years. Perhaps an argument can be made there. But let's leave it there today, Kervin. Thank you very much for speaking with us.
Thanks so much for having me. Stay safe out there.